Hi, welcome to SBR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. It's the Wednesday before Super Bowl 49, and we are doing a call with Doug Upstone right now. We're going to discuss whether the Pats should be a favorite or not. We're not necessarily going to get a pick from Doug Upstone, although I guess it's implied, but we are going to get his take on the current lines and the line movement. Doug Upstone, thanks for being back with us.
Peter, my pleasure to be back here. And yeah, here we are at the end of the road after a video starting way back in August. So yeah, final one here, and some different things going on, and just in general, and kind of the public perception is a little different this time around as opposed to past couple of Super Bowls, or several Super Bowls for that matter.
Yeah, well, it's a very unique betting situation because the line is so competitive. Normally there's a bigger spread, and so there's a lot of debate. The lines can get out of whack, right? The money line for the games, who's going to win, and the spread can get out of whack, whack from what they would be with a normal regular season game. This year, though, it's close to a pick'em spread, but the initial assessment by Vegas was that Seattle should have been the favorite. And, they were 2.5, 1.5, 1 point favorites at various places. The market, though, has decided that the Pats should be the favorite. Right now, it's settled in at Pats -1. So that's not a huge move, but it is a definitive opinion by the betting markets saying that the Pats should be the favorite. The question is that accurate?
Yeah, exactly. And looking at it, as you just mentioned, with the initial spreads, we're not, as we talked about last week, the lines were put out with an assumption that these would be the two teams, but yet things changed. And it was interesting to me, let's just say, to try and figure out what really did change. And in terms of the public perception, I think, and you mentioned this, you felt more strongly about this last week than I did, but, Richard Sherman and Earl Thomas both being injured, and what impact that has, into the initial line movement of the game. And I think there certainly created more doubt than it did anything else, in terms of how people felt about Seattle. So I think that certainly played a part. And I think then the other aspect here was how the Green Bay defense did something different than what we had seen. And they were able to execute it by keeping Russell Wilson in the pocket and making him a pocket passer. Now, they were able to do that, Peter, for 55 minutes as opposed to 60. And so New England, that would be their mission, is to be able to do it 60. And I think to whatever degree, I think people think that's a possibility, with Bill Belichick running the defense.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have given the opinion that recent results influence, public opinion more than sharp opinions. And, a lot of people have said that the reason the Pats became a favorite is because of the way in which the Pats blew out the Colts. You agree with that?
Yeah, I do, because I think that anybody, including, the people that put out the early lines, on that championship Sunday, I think anybody that, does power ratings and really, study these things, I think everybody would be in agreement that Seattle was certainly a 2 to 3 point favorite going into that day. And then, obviously, the part of the odds maker's job, though, is to have a good take on public perception. And as public perception, they started to lower the line slightly during the New England game, and then all of a sudden it kind of got on a roll. Okay, and then it just completely flipped. Not flipped, but it went basically from Seattle to New England on the short side. Now, there's one other interesting aspect about this to me, and to answer the question, should New England be favored? I think they should be, because one of the things that's difficult to do is, which we have talked about, is to repeat as Super Bowl champions. And it's only happened 17% of the time out of the previous 48 games. But what's interesting to me, which I had forgotten about, and just, one of those things you don't realize it until you start looking it up, of the 10 teams that have gotten into a position to repeat, 8 of them have actually accomplished it.
Right.
So from that perspective, that kind of favors Seattle, because the only 2 teams that didn't were the '84 Washington Redskins and the 1998 Green Bay Packers. So I think that adds, it certainly adds a little more intrigue to the game, having that kind of information.
Yeah, I mean, the reason it's hard to repeat as a Super Bowl winner is because the next season you're just complacent and it's hard to get to the Super Bowl. But if you have, what it takes to get to the Super Bowl as a defending Super Bowl champion, then I think that probably you would have the edge.
Right, exactly. And there's a couple other things I look at, into this game, is that, they're a short passing team, referring to New England. And against short passes this year, Seattle finished 27th, in the NFL. Now, I know they're not a big blitzing team, the Seahawks, but if they do, Brady his percentage of accuracy goes up when he throws. And another thing that occurs is that his yards per pass attempt goes up 13%. So, Seattle has an interesting situation to roll the dice a little bit. And obviously, they're going to do something different than what they've shown this year, much like they did in last year's Super Bowl, because Denver was totally unprepared for what for what Seattle did, and just blew them out right from the start. And I think that certainly adds a lot. Like I said, it adds a lot of intrigue as to how this thing can play out. And, the betting market says that New England should be favored. I happen to agree that should be the case myself. Even at this time, I'm having a hard time with it, but I'm going to lean at this time with New England to get the job done.
All right, Doug Upstone, interesting thoughts. Thanks so much.
The SBR Network offers free sports picks and game breakdowns, big money free betting contests year-round, a real-time Vegas-style odds monitoring service, and much more. So come see for yourself. To stay updated on SBR news and promotions, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Google+, and do be sure to subscribe to the Sportsbook Review YouTube channel to catch all our daily sports shows.